Okay, so I'm packing a lot into this one. If you've ever been to Indianapolis, you've probably seen this mural. It's of Kurt Vonnegut, a famous sci-fi author. In World War II, he was a prisoner of war that survived the bombing at Dresden that killed hundreds of people. He wrote about his experiences in the Slaughterhouse 5. Many people don't know is that he had a brother named Bernard Vonnegut. Bernard was a physicist that tried to control the weather. In fact, he worked with GE and they succeeded. He worked in Schenectady, which used to be the site of Thomas Edison's machine works. When his brother Kurt came home from the war, Bernard got him a job. GE did all kinds of classified work to help the government during the war, including Project Storm Fury, where they successfully controlled the weather and made it rain, among many other things. Cloud seeding is what it's called. The chemical they used caused this, a pretty scary reaction.
The problem with cloud seeding is it worth doing? And I always say, it depends on how desperate we are for water.
One of the first missions of Project Storm Fury was to break up a hurricane. They succeeded, but days later the hurricane turned and hit Savannah, Georgia. Hold on to your seatbelts.
And my aunt, grandmother, and mother are out there and they're screaming, "Tommy, you gotta come out here, you gotta come out here." So the way my father tells the story, he goes, "I'm watching TV, what the fuck? I don't want to be bothered." He goes, "I go outside," and he said, "Paul," he said, "sitting where I could throw a rock or shoot my gun at it, there is a fucking," and the way he said flying saucer, which is fucking hilarious. But he goes, "It's a fucking flying saucer." He said, "It's got a blue tint around it, little portholes, but you could barely see, quiet as can be." And he turned into a dot in the sky. He said, like that, it turned into a star like that. And he says, to this day, exactly the same thing. He goes, "Paul, I always used to think those people were fucking nuts." He goes, "All those people, I thought they were fucking hillbillies somewhere in the Midwest just trying to get attention." He goes, "I know what the fuck I saw." And he goes, "And I wish I didn't see it because I still dream about it." And then I Googled 1973 Yonkers, and many people saw something. But it was right above them.
Look at this. Man says 1973 UFO incident turned life upside down. Wow. I'm not surprised.
In multiple reports, and around the same time the Vonnegut brothers worked there is when things like Roswell happened. Specifically, Schenectady has long been a hotspot for UFOs. This news story has to do with dozens of people pulled over to the side of the road, watching for minutes as a UFO hovered above the GE plant. This article from 1979 talks about how the government was really worried about UFOs. And it's almost eerie how all the accounts say that the vehicles are silent and that it turns into a star in an instant. The government realized most of these occurrences happened over military bases where nuclear weapons were stored or created. During World War II, pilots reported Foo Fighters of aliens interfering with their missions. Now to bring this back to Kurt Vonnegut, in his book, Slaughterhouse 5, the main character is also abducted. After surviving the Dresden bombings, the main character is abducted and taken to an alien world where he is observed in a zoo and forced to have a child. Vonnegut called the aliens this. They appeared in most of his novels. There have been UFO sightings since the beginning of time. Was Kurt Vonnegut trying to tell us something? Was the government trying to cover it up? Or is it all just coincidence?